everyone, myself Nikita Sharma,
And I'm Gyanendra Parmar.
members of LiveTalksISM are back again with another podcast.
Ayan Pal, an IBM accredited IT professional, educator, speaker, and author, with 20 plus titles to his credit, best known for his novel Confessions on an Island.
As a secretary at Toastmasters International, he has served in several leadership positions across many countries.
He has been 3 times Distinguished Toastmaster and has been the recipient of several awards, including the Director of the Year for District 41.
Okay, sir, to commence with, I would first like to ask about what is Toastmasters? Can you please briefly describe it? What is it all about?
Okay, so Toastmasters is a not-for-profit international organization working to help its members become more effective as communicators and leaders. So we are spread across 149 countries, and we are there to help you find a better version of yourself that you can proudly project to the rest of the world. So that's what Toastmasters is all about.
So you've been called DTM Ayan Pal. So what is DTM and how is it different from Toastmasters?
So TM is Toastmaster, D is the distinguished factor in Toastmasters. So what happens is DTM is the highest individual level you can reach in terms of educational path, and between 1 to 1.5% people in the entire world who are Toastmasters in their lifetime can achieve DTM. So I've achieved it 3 times already. So to become a DTM for the first time, approximately 40 speeches have to be delivered, and there are lots of leadership projects that you have to do. You have to serve as a Toastmaster in communities. So I've been an area director, a division director. You have to have special projects. For example, my special DTM project was to come up with an educational module for IBM, where I worked, involving Toastmasters across the various IBM clubs. So in IBM, we have about 24 chapters in the world. So involved IBMers who were also Toastmasters to come up with this project. So that was my high performance leadership project. Another high performance leadership project was of mine, involved me working closely with the American consulate, and we were teaching underprivileged children through youth leadership program. And I'm very proud to say that it had its impact. There was this one child who was a student, and I'm not saying that because of YLP he is where he is today, but at various points in times, he thought of me as a mentor, and we spoke, and at times I gave him career advice and so on and so forth. So he came from a background where even complete your education would seem like a dream come true. And today he's a professor at IIT Bhubaneswar. So somewhere you make a difference through small little things, and I think we've been very happy about being able to do that. So there is a saying in Toastmasters International. It was first used by the first international woman president of Toastmasters. She said, and I quote, "When you get out of Toastmasters, all there is to get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters." I feel now, when you are in Toastmasters, you should get out of Toastmasters and put into effect all the real world applicability that you've learned, so that you can make a difference as a communicator and a leader, not only for yourself in your personal life, but also in your professional life and in the lives of others. At the end of the day, volunteering is a powerful tool to change yourself, because charity begins at home, and then change the world, one person at a time. So I believe, as a distinguished Toastmaster, I have been trying to do that for many years now, and I will continue to do that. So that's what makes me a little more distinguished than a Toastmaster.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
So, sir, our next question is about you're working as an IT professional.
That's correct.
So how has Toastmasters helped you? How has it changed your personality so that it helps you in work, and how do you manage these things, and how has Toastmasters shaped you as a person?
I think that's a wonderful question. First of all, it has not changed my personality. It has enhanced my personality, made me more effective. So part of Toastmasters is to be able to achieve goals. So I have played the roles of a vice president of education and a president, for example, at the club level. Then I've played roles at the area level, like an area governor, an area director, a division governor, a division director. So what I noticed is whenever I was playing these roles, which had a lot of targets that I was meant to achieve, I became very sharp. One of the key skills I carried forward and I was able to utilize in my professional life was multitasking. For me, multitasking is not necessarily doing different things at the same time, but doing different things in life. In the year 2015, a few months after I became the first distinguished Toastmaster from Calcutta ever, and the first one from IBM in India. So there were two of us who became at the same time. Then I used what I learned in Toastmasters, for example, story writing, storytelling, and I became a novelist, and I became a short story author, and so on and so forth. Likewise, in IBM, even though initially I was more into a technical role, I went into more techno-functional roles, and I think even Harvard Business Schools equates Toastmasters with MBA degrees and stuff like that. They say that if you have done work in Toastmasters, it's equivalent to having an MBA degree. So even though I did not have an MBA degree, I was working very closely with human resources, and I was doing projects and I was gaining international recognition. So you learn how to set smart goals. You know how specific they have to be. You know how measurable they have to be. You know how achievable they have to be. How relatable they have to be, and how time bound it has to be. And that comes from being an officer, a club officer in a club. And of course, as you move forward and play on more roles, you gain these leadership skills, which I have been able to utilize in IBM, and I've seen my career soar from here to I don't know where. For example, I think connectivity, connections, because I feel our net worth comes from our network.
Exactly.
And from having just a few connections on LinkedIn to being an influencer with close to 30,000 connections and being known in IBM. So I'm very well known in IBM for the work I do, and also in my community. I've received several awards from people across the world. I've had my work showcased to King Charles III. So congratulations on being the King of England.
Yes.
And he
Really very happy
congratulated
right now.
me to be an author. Yeah. So he tweeted a picture with me when he came down to India. Yeah, that was very special.
That's a very prestigious moment.
Yes, I have been thanked by Ginny Romiti, the CEO of IBM, when she kind of moved on. So I was one of the few people in the world that she thanked. So recently, the second vice president of IBM, John Granger, so there was an event that we were both together in, and he loved the same suit that I'm wearing now, because this is the branding of IBM. So you have to become a brand manager. Or even the work that I do, I never knew anything about communication and branding. I've never learned that. But I knew how to become better at vice president of public relations. And that actually has made me a consultant in communication and branding. So if that is not how Toastmasters is impacting you, I don't know what is. And I feel this is something where you will all realize there is direct, real-world applicability. And not just for me, for anyone who wants to raise a toast to themselves. When you're in a system which makes you sharper, when you're surrounded by people who are willing to go that extra mile, when you as a volunteer are able to make people achieve their goals who you're not paying, when you actually are a boss, you will never be at a loss. So I think that's how Toastmasters has helped me.
Agreed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. So can you please describe the word Toastmasters? Like, what is its origin and where it has come from?
That's an
The
interesting
history of
question.
Toastmasters, like
The history of Toastmasters.
Yeah, exactly.
So Toastmasters International was started by this gentleman whose name is Dr. Ralph C. Smedley. He was at that time the YMCA educational director. Now the story goes, now obviously I was not born there, the story goes that he was asked to raise a toast at a wedding of his friend. And somehow, even though he was very well prepared, he fumbled. His thoughts got jumbled, the words that came out were mumbled, and his confidence absolutely tumbled. That day, Ralph realized that there has to be a forum to public communication skills, and public speaking has to be practiced in a safe environment. So on 22nd October in the year 1924, in a basement in Santa Ana, California, the first Toastmasters meeting was held. Since then, we have been spreading the joys of public speaking all across the world. And let me tell you, as per a lot of surveys done around the world's number to fear is death. And number one is public speaking. So you would rather be in the casket than delivering the eulogy. That's also known as glossophobia. But we started off like that. At one point of time, our motto was to make effective communication a worldwide reality. But I think Toastmasters now is more about leadership. Our motto now is where leaders are made. And I personally believe we all have leadership qualities within us. And it's not about knowing how to speak. It's about knowing what to speak, and most importantly, when to stop. And how to jump, skip and hop your way to success. And I think that's how Toastmasters began, and we have now become an organization that figures out ways by which society can raise a toast to your success. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir. Agree.
Sir, how did your journey begin? How did you discover this, that you can be good at this, and how did you get into toast? public speaking and Toastmasters.
I was terrified about being on stage.
Yes,
I
sir,
still-
that's the story
Yes,
with,
sir.
I think, most of the people.
Not everyone. I think I was good at writing. I was obviously good at writing. It cannot
Yes,
just
sir.
Yes.
bloom like that. I remember participating in a Western music competition. Of course, the other students in my school were very good, which I did not know then. So there was this one person. His name was, I will not take his name, but he went on to become a finalist in Channel V Pop Stars. So obviously he was a very good singer, and I wasn't. I started singing a song, and then I think I froze or something happened, and people were laughing at me, or it was not a very good experience, and I kind of shied away from being on stage. I still now do not have a very powerful voice. I have no idea how to project my voice, and I was not good at elocution. I did take part in a speech contest one day, and I narrated a story, and I stood third. And a lot of people noticed that there is something very different about the way I narrate stories. I was always a good storyteller, but I was never a captain. I was never taking leadership roles at school. I was just being happy, writing a few short stories and writing a few poems and getting awarded for it. Now, when I came into IBM, I was in Bangalore. So one day we came to Calcutta, and there was another friend of mine. His name is Varun Biani. So he also relocated from Bangalore to Kolkata, and I also relocated from Bangalore to Kolkata. And we realized that there is this amazing thing called Toastmasters International. We should try to open this. And I was very excited when I found out there was actually a club at IBM. So I went into the meeting. I was asked to speak on table topics, and I think my life changed. I spoke very well, and the way people applauded and the way I felt after coming back and sitting on my chair, I realized this is what I have to do. I joined the club immediately, and I helped form another club which was called City of Joy Toastmasters Club. And the journey has been amazing since that fateful day in June 2010. So it's been a long journey, it's been an eventful journey, it's been a beautiful journey, and I'm still figuring out how to raise toasts for myself and others, and sometimes a few roasts as well. I'm going to balance a toast with a roast.
Exactly.
But that is how I discovered Toastmasters International, through a friend, and that's about it.
So you explained how over the past 10 years you have experienced so many things, you have met so many big people, and you've walked the lives of
I think
stages of success.
I will have to pause here. Not big people, small people. I think everyone is important. Everyone teaches something to you. So please continue
Each and
with your
every
question.
person holds a significant value in our life.
It is.
Yeah.
So how was this experience? Anything you want to share about experience? Because you started from a place where you were afraid of going on stage, and
I
then,
was terrified,
you know,
yes.
and
So
now you
initially you had
become-
stage fear.
I think I still have
Most
a
of the
little
people
bit of
said they have
butterflies.
stage fear.
They have. So what happens is they just don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what they know. They know what they don't know, they know what they know, but they don't know what they don't know, and
Yes,
they
sir.
don't know what they know.
Confusion. They are
There's a
confused.
lot of confusion. But when you do it again and again, I think muscle memory develops. And you have to do it in a safe environment. You cannot always get opportunities to speak in public.
Yes.
It is not so easy. And you cannot try that in a competition. Competition is where you have tried, tested, and then you do. That is why probably if you really look at all the great people in the world, irrespective of how great they are, actors go for acting workshops. Cricketer Sachin Tendulkar goes for practice every time. He doesn't stop practicing after he scored a century. He goes for more practice. And practice cannot happen without feedback. If there is no coach, there is no feedback, you cannot do anything. You can be the greatest in the world, but feedback has to be there. So my experience is, all these people I've interacted with, be it Toastmasters or non-Toastmasters or amazing people around the world, students like all of you, they've always taught me something because I've wanted to learn. So you will only learn if you want to learn. Otherwise, you will not. From Saurav Ganguly, for example, a huge fan. So Saurav Ganguly and I were in a Dadagiri episode, and yeah, so I asked him a couple of questions. It was my Dadagiri moment, and someone kind of took a video of that, and it became viral on Facebook. It received, I think, more than 1 lakh likes, one of those things. So that was a very special experience, from where I understood that every opportunity is important. When you are in the limelight, you should not waste that opportunity. You should be able to utilize that. And it's another thing that sort of loved what I was saying. Then there was this incident in which Radhika Apte and I spoke in an event. So it was for a college, St. Xavier's. So I got invited to that college because I genuinely wanted to help that college, and whenever they used to invite me, I used to go and speak and judge events and do that. So you should give. The more you give, the more you will get. You should not do things thinking, oh, if I do this, will I get money? If I do this, will I get fame? You should just do this because volunteering is a very powerful way of giving back. And when you give back, the universe will figure out a way to return it to you. So from that incident, I of course loved the incident as well. that no matter where you are and how busy you are, never say no to opportunity. Never complain about more work. Never. Because if you don't get work, that's the worst thing that can happen. The greatest problem in the world is a problem of plenty. So try to accommodate requests that come your way, because that will really enhance you. Then there was another incident that happened when I was in Oman. Man na man, main tera mehman. I was in Oman and I was invited, the then Sultan Qaboos, His Royal Highness the Sultan of Oman, kind of invited me. There were these events, and over there I could not connect with the audience that well. And I realized that something was going wrong. So I still remember there was this huge auditorium. There was an international IT conclave and I was speaking on something where in one section of the audience were very, very quiet. They were all girls. They were wearing their burqas and stuff, and it was very difficult to connect with them. So cultural differences are very important. You should know your audience. If I had known that my audience is going to be segregated into men and women, I might have prepared differently. So I didn't know that. So knowing your audience is very, very important.
Yes.
Last but not the least, I think at that time, during 70 years of India-UK cultural exchange, my work was showcased to the current King Charles III, the King of England, long live the King, and to Duchess Camilla. So at that time, it was an amazing feeling to be there. But during that photo shoot, I remember there were journalists from all over the world, and I did something like this. You know what is this sign?
Yes, we are actually very much acquainted with
this
victory.
It's a victory sign
sign.
in other parts of the world, but not in England. So in England, it means I'm cutting someone. So so I did that, and then some journalist came and said, "Excuse me, what are you trying to do?" I was like, "Oh, victory, whatever."
Victory sign.
And then that photo did not make it to the newspapers. It was the most important photo because my writing was converted into like 10 feet tall panels by the multiple Oscar-winning Aardman animation. So it was turned into illustrations, and there were these panels all behind me. And I was very upset. That, oh God, I would have made it to all the newspapers in so many parts of the world, because at that time he was Prince Charles and India, UK was celebrating. But you know what happened? So what happened is, after that, Prince Charles went back. He was then a prince, and then he tweeted some pictures. So one of the pictures he tweeted was with Narendra Modi, our honorable Prime Minister. Another one was with Shilpa Shetty, the winner of Big Brother. And that was the third. And the second one was with me.
Oh.
Yeah. So you lose something, you gain something. So if I had not done this, I would have not been tweeted by the current King of England. Yes. So when you lose something and you're very sad about it, it's okay. You may not win everything in life, but every loss is an opportunity to win something bigger and better. So that's what I learned. So from all these instances, celebrity instances, I learned something or the other, and I think the learning continues as long as you are okay to learn and unlearn and relearn. I think it's a wonderful, beautiful journey of learning and sharing and growing together.
Yes.
Yes, we know that you are an author. You have written books. So how do you manage all these things? Like you're achieving so many things, and you're writing books
Besides
at the
all
same
those
time,
things you're
and you're working as an IT professional. So how
do I manage? I think
and what was the motivation behind writing the book?
What was the motivation behind writing? I think there are lots of small little questions, so let me tell you. I write to express, not to impress. So the motivation was I needed to say something. There was a story inside of me, and I thought this is a story the rest of the world can learn something from, or maybe they should read it. So that is how the stories came about. My motivation was to become an author. It's very simple. I've always loved reading, and I've grown up watching these amazing people. I did not know then that one of my books will make it into the Limca Book of Records under literature, be showcased to kings and stuff. And by Hindustan Times, I was listed as one of India's top 5 authors. So all that happened because I genuinely wrote. But the other aspect of the question is, how do I manage to do so many things? I think a lot of people misunderstand multitasking, and they feel they have to do multiple things at the same time, which is not true. So while I do multiple things in life, if I'm writing, I'm concentrating only on that. If I'm giving this interview with you, I don't have a phone to distract me. If I'm going to check my social media and reply to messages, I'm only doing that. When I'm spending time with my now 6-year-old daughter, I'm completely into that zone, and I'm not going to get distracted. When I'm watching Brahmastra with my wife, I'm obviously not looking at my wife. There's so much happening on screen, and we are just sharing the popcorn. So that is okay. That little bit of multitasking is fine. But when you concentrate on one task at a time, you will be able to achieve multiple tasks in life in a day. and you have to figure out a way of switching on and switching off between tasks, and when you are able to do that, you will be better at leading your life towards more fulfillment and more success. So that is my mantra: focus on one thing at a time, and focus on multiple things in life, if that makes sense.
Sir, I think that's very useful for college students.
Yeah.
Because they're distracted all the time and
They have reasons.
Must be following.
I have also been a college student. I was very distracted. It's okay.
Okay, so your previous visit at IIT ISM Dhanbad was in 2016, and now
Yes.
currently you're visiting it. So, like, what all changes are you noticing after a span of 6 years?
I noticed a lot of changes in the mirror. I've obviously got a lot of weight. I've had a lot of food in the last whatever years. But there's also been a lot of food for thought. So I think the last time I came to your college, there were lots of different things in the college. It was more open. And not in a good way. There were
Yes.
people who could come in, there used to be fights and stuff like that. I think I see the college being very beautifully managed. I think there's been a lot of upgradation. I loved the conference hall. I was there. I was either in a different conference hall or the conference hall had not been upgraded. That is good. I see the students having a lot of direction. It's not like they did not have direction before. They also had a lot of direction, but they were also looking at validation from people. Sir, please, can we do this and we do that? So I see a lot of independence in the students, which is amazing. I've always felt the students of this institute are some of the best. And I think I can tell because I've been to a lot of institutes around the country. So you may not know what you want in life, which is okay, but you know what you don't want in life, which is even better.
Yes, sir.
Why waste your time running after something that you don't know? So I think that part is very good. And I'm happy to say that the food in the cafeteria is better. But that I don't know whether it's special treatment or
Yes, sir, you
it
should
is
try
genuinely
masters.
better. The barista was good.
Yeah.
So I think yes, things are better, and I see a lot of potential also to make it even better. But you should be happy about where you are. You've come a long way, and kudos and well done on that.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, we
sir.
hope that we move more forward in this direction.
Yeah, you will. All of you together, everyone achieves more. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, sir, some rapid fire questions
Oh, I
that
love
we've
this.
prepared.
Yes, sir.
Bring them on.
So, what do you prefer? Toastmaster Ayan Pal or author Ayan
Author
Pal?
Ayan Pal.
You can explain the answer.
I prefer Toastmaster Ayan Pal because I anyways get to write so many speeches. So that means I'm also an author. So I'm getting both for one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what is your favorite movie?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Why?
Yes.
Do you have any?
I love
I
Lord
like
of
your
the Rings
personal
because it's
opinion.
epic, and it's one of the few examples where the movie is almost as good as the book, if not better. And it has a story for all of us, that no matter how small you are, if you really believe and you have faith, there is nothing that you cannot achieve. It also talks about greed and how greed can corrupt no matter the right intentions. So I think this is something we all need to read or watch. And the fact that it won 11 Oscars cannot be ignored.
So, what is your favorite song?
That's very difficult, but I think a few of them, mostly in English. I love the song "Hello" by Lionel Richie, and there is this song of George Michael from Slam, "Careless Whisper." I love that, and of course I'm a huge fan of Shushmita Sen. So I love the
Okay.
original Dilbar.
Oh, but she's not a singer.
No, I like watching,
actress.
listening to the song and imagining
okay.
Shushmita, kind of being the
Yeah, yeah.
seductress that she is.
Yes.
Sir, how would you rate your experience in IIT ISM on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 9.
Oh, that's a
Because
very
it's
good
good for
compliment for us.
improvement.
Experience in your college, anything which you want to share? Any moment
What I
which
wanted to
Yeah.
share, I think when I was in college, people were not as accepting as they are. I remember I was I as a fresher, I performed on stage for the first time. I danced to Jia Jale.
Oh.
And yeah, I became quite the heartthrob. That's another horrible story, but in a good way. You should not do that in college. You should not go shirtless in your first performance. But what I learned from college is nothing is easy. I found it very difficult. It was in Bangalore. I studied from Bangalore, and the weather was different. The language was different. I found it very, very difficult to adjust. I would pine for my home a lot of times. But what I understood is college is the place where you make friends for life. because
Yes,
you're
sir.
surrounded with like-minded people. And I think some of my greatest of friends are from my college, and we're going to be friends for life. So this life that you have in college, don't only dedicate it to studies. Studies are very important, but the memories you make are going to stay with you forever. The friendships you make are going to stay with you forever. Cherish this, because you can never go back to college.
Yes.
Not at least the same degree, unless you become a professor. So lots of other options, but you'll never be back in college with the same kind of people, having the same kind of problems and having the same kind of triumphs. So support each other and find happiness in each other, and I think you're going to have a good life.
Yes, sir. So what was your experience visiting so many educational institutions and delivering your
Delivering
speech?
keynotes and stuff.
Yes, sir.
I think a lot of people only want to follow. I mean, they want to lead and they're always following others. But if everyone is a leader, then where is a follower? We need to learn how to become better at following. People are too distracted following a lot of different concepts, which doesn't work. So you should be very clear about who you want to follow and don't keep changing your mentors. So that is one thing I keep saying. Everyone is trying to learn from this person, that person, every successful person. Not possible. You're not in the same kind of circumstances. You might be very, very successful in Somalia. You'll still be a bhikari compared to someone who's mildly successful in America. I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
You don't have the
that's
same
true.
experiences, you don't have the same family, you don't have the same family structure. So you cannot pretend to be like the next Bill Gates. You should be the first you.
Yeah.
That
Our
is
identity
important.
should be
Originality
unique.
has to be
Yeah,
originality,
yeah,
your
yeah,
identity.
yeah.
And it's very important that you learn from people by reading books, by watching films, by getting to do things. But sometimes who you follow is important. So while being a good leader is very important, it's even more important to be a good follower. And I think from all these visits to all these colleges, this is one thing I've learned, that you need to be more careful about who you're following and not just randomly follow X, Y, Z, Tom, Dick, Harry, etc., etc. At the same time, you'll just be more and more confused because you've never had the same kind of life, you've never had the same kind of situations, so you may not have the same outcome.
Yes, sir.
Sir, our last question. What is your message for students? Because you've gone through from the same, you are also an engineer, we are also engineering students. So what is your
Future
message?
engineer.
Sab
Yes,
moh
sir.
maya hai.
Ultimate
Nothing
sentence.
lasts forever. Okay, I think engineering is a tool to make you learn things, most of which you will never use.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, why are we learning this? Why are we learning this? Why are you going to the gym? Are you expected to lift weights in real life? No. You're going there so you build muscle, and you're engineers so that you can build mind muscles. So engineering is a test to show to the world that we can learn anything very quickly.
Yes.
It's terrible, but it's important. Accept it, because it's going to change you forever. It has changed me, it's changed all of us. And engineers can do anything, like
Yeah.
literally anything, from jugaad to God knows what else. So be proud of being an engineer. We actually are the building blocks of the nation. And may you find out what you seek sooner than later. And don't hate your life here.
So
You will never get it back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.